Hello everyone, greetings from PayTabs technical support team. In this series, you will learn how to integrate with PayTabs through our PT2 API endpoints. Throughout the series, we will walk you through the second integration type, which is the invoices. And for the purpose of this series, we have created a very simple Laravel project to walk you through the integration process. But feel free to follow the steps in this series with your own project, whatever the programming language or the frameworks used to integrate with PayTabs. So, let's get started. In this video, we are going to walk you through how you can handle the payment responses in our Invoices APIs integration manual. So, let's get started. The first thing you should know is that you can find the full documentation for this part inside PayTabs support portal under the article called the Invoices APIs Integration Manual. Now, if we navigate it over here to step 5 and step 6 actually, you will see that those two steps are dedicated for handling your responses. This video is of course dedicated to step 5, which is handle the payment response. But before we start, we highly recommend you to rely your system or make your system rely on the post payment responses, as it is a server to server request and it will contain all the transaction details. Now, we will clarify through this video why it is more highly recommended for you to rely on step 6, which is the post-payment responses, not step 5, which is the payment direct response or the payment responses. So first, let's learn how this works. This is simply a very simple idea, or this is simply a very thing that you can send inside your request payload, which is a very simple parameter you provide in your request payload. We can take a look at it over here inside our request payload. This is this is the way that you handle the payment response. All what you need to do is to provide this parameter, which is the return, and here you will see the URL is created by me in this case, which you will need to create. This URL is the URL that your customers will be redirected to after the payment is done. So this is simply a way that you provide a URL inside the request and you want to tell the payment once it's done, so let's redirect my customer to this page or this route. Now, from your side, you will need to create this route and you will need to handle the response. We will send you a request payload in this route and you will need to learn how you can handle it in order to make a successful page or a successful payment page or a response payment page. So what you can see over here, if we get back to our solution article, is that we have here a solution article for the return URL response. These are the parameters or the response payload you are going to receive inside the return URL request. As you can see, we will have the acquire messages, the acquire RN, the cart ID, the customer email, the response code, the response message, the response status, a signature. We will learn what is a signature just by the late of this video. And if you are tokenizing this payment, you will also receive the payment token and of course the transaction reference. Now, just remember, these are the basic transaction details. You will receive all the transaction details in step 6, which is handling the post-payment response. That's why we are highly recommend you to rely on the post-payment response and the callback. Now for here, we just want to use the return URL for redirecting our customers and creating a simple response page, and we will rely on step 6 as we said before. Now, how we can actually handle this, or let's see an example of how we handle this. Again, before we move, please remember that we have a full dedicated solution article for the return called request response parameter return over here, as you can see. And here you will see the parameter, how all the specification for it, how the sample response payload is looking, and all the details you want. This is actually, if you did not, another very important idea here. If you did not pass any return URL, the customer will be redirected to PayTabs successful payment response page, or the cancelled or not completed or error payment page, successful response payment page. Now, let's get back over here to my code. And as you can see, what I have created a route, and this route will have this controller function. I will receive the request sent, which we just saw, which contained the signature, the transaction reference, the token, all of these. Now I'm going to parse this as it will be some plain response. I'm going to parse it, and I'm just going to view it inside or return it inside a sample view and view it to my customer. So let's see how this works. We will get back to this part over here, but just let's see how this works. I'm going to provide here inside my request the URL. It's going to pass through this controller. It's going to be parsed, and once it's parsed, I'm going to check if the response status is A. I will return the success view, and if the response status is anything else, I will return the error view. I will come back, or I will pass the details of the response to this view and just display it to my customers. And let's test this out. I'm going to get back over here. Let's fill out the invoice. Let's pay it out. I'm going to click pay. I'm going to fulfill the payment simply. My test card. And let's see what's happened. As you can see, I have got redirected back to my website, the exact return URL I have provided. I have received these transaction details, which allowed me to display it over here, to use it to display the cart ID transaction reference. So this is actually all what you need to do to handle the payment response, or what you can use the return URL. An optional thing or an additional thing that you can do is verifying that this return URL is coming from you from PayTabs, and this is the correct return URL that you are expecting. So that's why PayTabs provide you with a way to verify that this response, or to verify the return URL response. So if we get back over here, and we will see that we have here a solution article which is called How to Verify the Response Received from PayTabs. If you remember, over here I told you that we will receive something called signature. I have removed it from here now. Now this signature is the thing that I'm going to use to actually, let's say, verify that this is the correct response I need. I'm going to get back over here to the solution article, and let's see the idea. What is happening, or what does we need to do to verify that this is the response or the correct response? You can see that we have a sample over here, PHP code sample that you can use, but simply what I'm going to describe, this is the response I'm receiving. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, as I just did, is I'm going to remove the signature from the response, away from this response. I have the signature, let's see, over here. I'm going to remove it. Now once I remove it, I'm going to, let's say, remove any empty parameters. I want to just have the response, all the details. As you can see over here, I have removed the signature, but I have some empty parameters like the acquire and the acquire message. I want to remove any empty parameters, so I want to only have the cart ID, for example, the customer email, response code, response message, response status, and transaction reference. Okay, I have removed all of the empty parameters. Now the next thing, I'm going to sort this input, or sort this keys, okay, and I will show you inside how I'm doing the key sort thing, and the result should look like this. Now I'm going to do a sort of URL encoding, a simple URL encoding using the key value, okay, and once the encoding is done, still the request will look like this. And finally, I'm going to hash the final result. This final result, I'm going to hash it, and the hash will be used with SHA-256 scheme. Now, once you have hashed it, all what you need to do now, you have an encoded hashed signature that looks like this. And if you remember, we will have the signature that we remove. All what you need to do now to compare both, if they are the same. So this is the received one from your let's say this is the received one from PayTabs. This is the correct one that you want to receive, and if this is not the same, this means this is not coming from PayTabs, or this is not your response. I have a simple PHP code over here. It has all the details. I'm going to use my let's say I'm going to use my server key to do the hashing mechanism. Okay, I'm going to use the SHA-256 as I said before, and this is what I did over here simply in this verified function. If you get back over here, the payment repository, I have made a verified return. I'm checking if of course, the first thing I'm checking if the response is empty. It's not empty. I will remove the signature. I will do the filter to remove any empty things. I will sort it. I will start to, let's see, pass it over here to my function to do the hashing. Oversee, as I said, I'm going to hash using the SHA-256 and the server key. This is the data I received. And finally, if these hashes are equal, the signature I created and the request signature, if they are equal, I'm going to return true. If they are not, I'm going to return false. And by doing that, I will be able here to choose if I'm going to do anything based on this response, if it's verified or not. So this is simply how you can use the return URL and how you can verify it. And now we can move to the next part.